Okay, so when you are going to either have your church transition or you're going to coach another church through their transition, there's lots of different ways that people can make the transition. This is how our church has decided to do it. We have a church with about 40 to 50 kids, and we are going to put all of the kids in the new Mission Grace in Action book. Here's why. Because I love the book, and I'm the director, and I love it, so I can do what I want, right? But no, seriously, the more that I spend time learning about the book and what's there, I'm like, oh, I want every kid to learn this. And some of my kids have already been through the Ultimate Adventure 1, which has a lot of the same concepts. There are verses that are repeated, but I think that they'll be okay to relearn. So that's one reason. Another reason is I was concerned about training some leaders in this new process and then having the other leaders that are teaching the other 3 books. You know, sometimes there's a night where, oh, you don't have as many kids in your group, but somehow they got tons of kids. Why don't you switch and go to this group and help? I want them to be able to jump into the Grace in Action books and the Grace in Action leaders to be able to jump into the other books really seamlessly. And since they look so different and since different things are required to pass a section, I was concerned about not having consistency amongst the leaders if I have to switch them in rooms. Does that make sense? See that there? Also for training, I'm like, this August, when I start leader training, I want to just train them all at one time as to what to do in handbook time and not have different, okay, you guys are going to be doing this differently than the rest of you, okay? We also, just the deeper learning with kids having large group and small time coordinate, like we talked about, I think that that is phenomenal. And if I can say this, it's what I did when I was a clubber. So T&T was introduced when I was in 5th grade. So I did chums for 3rd and 4th grade, and then in 5th grade, when the new T&T came out, everybody did the new T&T. And as a clubber, I wanted to be part of what was new. I liked the way that the new books looked versus, you know, what Chums and Guards was. That was a huge improvement. And I just, you know, I didn't want to be left out and left behind. I wanted to be what was in the new curriculum. And I think kids in this switch might feel the same way. They might be like, hey, I like that book. That's the book I want to be part of, not this one. So that's what we're doing at our club, and those are the reasons why. But it doesn't have to be that way. If there's bigger churches, they can do all 3rd graders in that book. They can do all 3rd and 4th graders in that book. There are so many different options for how they can transition. Go ahead.
We're going to do just 3rd through 6th grade?
Yeah.
Altogether? Okay.
Yep.
That's what we're going to do too.
Is it? Okay, so if we, let's talk about what the future is going to look like for my church. So in 2016, we're going to have all 3rd through 6th graders in the Mission Grace in Action UA 1 equivalent book. Then next year, the UA 2 equivalent book will be out, so all of our kids will be in that. Then in 2018, this is where we'll split, and we'll have the 3rd and 4th graders back in this book, and the 5th and 6th graders in the new book that's the equivalent to Ultimate Challenge 1. And then in 2019, we'll have 3rd and 4th graders in the other Ultimate Adventure type book, and the 5th and 6th graders in the Ultimate Challenge 2 replacement book. And then from then on, we'll switch the A and B years with 3rd and 4th grade and 5th and 6th together. So another reason to keep our groups together is because this large group time does coordinate, and I don't want to have 2 different large groups quite yet. But we will have 2 different large groups in 2018. So when we switch and we have like 3rd and 4th grade together and we have 5th and 6th grade together, we are planning to incorporate 2 different large group times at that point.
We have to do that right now, so that's why we would go to 3rd and 4th grade, and then 5th and 6th grade when the books catch up.
Yeah.
What would you say to the club that says, I only have one person that can teach a lesson for all 3rd through 6th grade?
Okay, maybe they can have the same person and reschedule the night so that T&T council time happens 2 times. 2 times, if that's possible.
I'm just asking a question.
I think that's very valid. I think that there will be churches who say, I don't have enough people that can teach large group time.
What about the ones that can only do it one time, 3rd through 6th the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, if they really have a hard, fast situation like that, then maybe they would want to just, you know, for half of the kids, the large group coordinates, for the other half, large group doesn't coordinate. Is that ideal? No, but I mean, there are times when a church is like, I can't do another time because Sparks and Cubbies or track is rotating through that room, and it's the only room that will hold the whole group, or whatever the issue is. I do think that you will run into churches who say, I don't have that many large group teachers, and I mean, that's even a problem at my church, and we have a lot of people to pull from.
Expect that to be the majority.
Yeah, so what my church is planning on doing, I have a co-director, and I, and one of the pastors are going to try to do a 3-month rotation is what we're going to try to do for large group time. And then in 2018, when we need to split, maybe I would have to do large group every single week, and my co-director would have to do large group every single week for the older kids. I don't know, but I think it needs to be split for that deeper learning, if at all possible. For churches who say, we're only going to put our new upcoming 3rd graders in this mission, grace, and action, they can still do this large group time. And for the 3rd graders, it matches. And for the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, they got solid teaching and large group time, solid teaching that has a scope and sequence. And that's okay, because that's how traditional Awana has been, that it doesn't match. Okay? Any other questions about how to transition? No? Okay, any other questions about how to transition? That makes sense? Okay. Next, let's talk about the start zone. So everybody goes through the start zone at the beginning of every single year. This is something that we did with Together We Move, and it works great. The start zone is basically a gospel track, so if you can lay that foundation out right at the get-go.
Basically, right?
Yep, so the new start zone, it has 2 sections, and it's just really a great foundation for the kids to start the year with. Now, Awana says you only do the start zone then, and if a new kid comes to club in October, then he would just pick up at whatever spot you're in the Grace in Action book. That's what Awana says. However, for our club with the Together We Move, we would do the start zone with the kids if they were a visitor, because we felt like this is a gospel tract. So there's certain theme nights that we have, like the Easter theme night and the trunk or treat, where we just get a ton of visitors. So on those nights, we have a special start zone room because we know we're going to have a lot of first-time visitors. On regular club nights where we might just, a kid brought a friend and we have 1 visitor or 2 visitors that night, the kid will go to handbook time with their friend, and then if there's time, like during the section saying time, then one leader would sit down one-on-one with that visiting kid and try to make it through the start zone. You can't really make through it in 10 minutes, and if you do, it's probably too rushed. But if the leader can get through part of it and then send it home with the kid, you're sending home the gospel in the home, and that's just our philosophy of the start zone. It might be something that you would want to incorporate at your church as well. We do like to keep the visiting kids with the friend that brought them. We don't want to separate them, because how fun is that? If you came with a friend and then you got put in this room with all these strange people you don't know, I'm not going back. So we don't want to do that. So we try to keep them with their friend, and when at all possible, we try to start going through the start zone with them if they're a visitor. Okay? Any other questions about the start zone? Okay.
I was just going to say, I like how they really have it put in there. This is the chapter, this is the book, this is the chapter.
Yeah, that's good.
Because a lot of kids have,
Yeah.
no idea what that means.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. I know someone who got saved in about my age, and she said the only thing I knew about God was what I learned in a country song. And so she doesn't know that about the Bible, and it seems, as Christians, it's just like something we rattle off. Revelation 4:11, but we have to realize that people don't know that at all. So yeah, there's a lot of really good foundational things in the books. Any other questions, comments about the start zone? Of course, there is a leader guide that goes with the start zone too that you can give to your leaders. Okay?